Hey y'all, it's high time we do another chapter. We're getting close to the end. Your man and his money. Oh boy. So, quick recap of what I told you about my previous situation. I married the devil, and I was married to him for 25 years. Didn't find out till way after the fact of getting rid of him that the males in his family have absolutely zero control over their peckers. All of them were married. All of them were cheating. At least several of them that I know of were cheating. So he grew up thinking that this is normal. You have an appendage down there because you're supposed to poke it in things. People, as many as humanly possible. And it never occurred to him that that's disrespectful and you shouldn't marry people that you lied and said you'd be committed to when you knew god dang well you can't commit to shit. So in the beginning, the person that you see in the beginning, and I've talked about this so many times, he's a malignant narcissist. The person you see in the beginning is not necessarily it's not who they are, period. It's not who they are. And he was generous with money for 2 years. Whatever you want, get it. I'm the type of person, even if I'm in love with this dress, it's the prettiest thing I ever saw. When I look at the price tag, I'm like, you know what? I'm over it. And he would say, if you want to get it, I'm like, it's too expensive. I'm not Miss Spendaholic. Okay, that's just not how I roll. Even if I have the money or money is not an issue or wasn't an issue back then, I'm not doing it because that price is stupid. I'm not I'm not paying that. Now if it goes on sale, cool, but But he went above and beyond to act like money wasn't an issue. If you want it, go ahead and get it. There's no reason why you shouldn't. And honey, after 2 years, and I didn't see him that much, so I didn't really know him. He was an over-the-road truck driver, as I said before. So you don't really know that person. You don't see them often enough to know them quicker. If you see them all the time, you're going to know them a lot quicker. They can hide a lot when they're on the road. And he was an over-the-road truck driver, so he hid a lot. And it's easy to do when you're not around. You can pretend to be nice person, you can pretend to be generous and all this other, and it's all pretense. So went from generous, quotation marks generous, to after about 2 years, especially once the high wears off, I call it the new car smell. Once the new car smell wears off, they've been banging other people while they were with you. I mean, that's the reason they choose jobs where they're never home, so it's easier for them to poke people. Let's just keep it real. And went from Mr. Generosity to, once it started, I don't know, probably by the third year or so, once he started being controlling with money, it got worse and worse and worse and worse. And then there'd be spurts of generosity and then more financial control. And this went on forever. It just kept going, He acted like I invented bills to torture people. Thank you for giving me all that props, but I did not do that, and there would be no benefit for me to create bills for people, including myself. And I remember I told somebody about it years ago, how he'd argue me about bills as if he's stupid and doesn't know that you have to pay your electric every month and your car insurance every month. I mean, anybody who has a quarter of an ounce of a brain knows that you get bills every month. That's just the way life goes. If you don't freaking know that, and you're an adult, supposedly, you need to see a psychiatrist, psychologist. You need to get admitted to a psych ward. Something's wrong with you if you don't know that. And you're an adult. and you supposedly an adult, and you don't know that. So he argued and argued, argued. And then I told this person about it, and she said, the reason he's arguing you so much about money, because I was just so flabbergasted. What the hell are you arguing for? This is normal life for everybody. She said, the reason he's arguing about money is because he don't want to give it to you because he wants to give it to his side pieces. That makes a lot of sense. So one of the biggest ways a person can control you is with money. Marriage means nothing to a narcissist. It is a party, you dress nice, you have company, people come in from out of state, whatever the case may be, family, friends at the wedding. But it's just a party where you're the center of attention. They lie, which is easy for them. They lie and say, I love you till death do us part, blah, blah, blah. And it is all the biggest lie they've ever told. Those vows don't mean nothing to them. And control and domination means everything. They will not only control the money that they're supposed to give you because you're legally tied to each other, or supposedly, but they will also control your money. Because I remember when I was working, which was a relief on my wallet and my mind, because I didn't have to say the same speech that I had to say every month. You realize bills are due, right? Oh my God. I remember one Christmas I felt generous and I kind of gave gifts away to people that, even some people I wasn't really that close with, because holidays kind of do a number on you and make you feel generous if you're not a horse's ass. And he's like, what'd you spend all those money for gifts for? How many people? Why are you trying to control my wallet? Because everything with them is control. Control, 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 control. They cannot control themselves. They cannot control their mood swings. They cannot control anything about themselves, but they have to control other people. And money is the biggest way to do that. Because they can hurt you real bad with money. Real bad. They will do it, and they will have zero problems with it. And if you cry or get upset or your car's about to be repossessed because they didn't help with the car note, sucks to be you. I got a new piece of ass this week, so hey, I don't know what to tell you. All right, so let's go into Smith and Doe and what they say. The name of this book is called What Men Don't Want Women to Know. And we're going to talk about your man and his money. And even if you're married, it's his money. The law doesn't see it that way, but narcissists don't give a shit about the law. Anyway, each sex has its own special uses and needs for secrets and lies when it comes to money. Money, like infidelity, is a subject that arouses the greatest and most dangerous passions. Smith and Doe hesitate to open this Pandora's box. To a man, there is nothing more sacred than money except maybe God. Yet ask any man which can get him a blowjob faster, God or $100 bill, and you can guess the answer. Just how important is money to men? Look at divorces. When a man and woman divorce, what is the one area, with the exception of child custody, that produces the most anger and resentment? The property settlement. And what fuels the passions in this settlement? The man doesn't want the woman getting her hands on the money he busted his ass to earn. And the woman doesn't want the man getting away with keeping money she damn well deserves as a wife, supporter, housekeeper, mother, etc. These two good people might have been married for years, shared good times and bad, sickness and health, agony and ecstasy. Yet when it comes down to Doe, it's a no-holes-barred, rip-off-your-nose, kick in the groin, free-for-all. As the woman holds her ground, the man becomes more paranoid and enraged. Who is her lawyer? What is he telling her? Is she having an affair with him? Why are they trying to rob me blind? Even in a case where a man leaves his wife of many years for their 18-year-old nanny, where he publicly disgraces that good woman in the eyes of her friends and the entire community, the man will do every possible thing in his power to keep her from getting one more dime than he wants her to have. Smith and Doe note that the typical male judges always help him achieve his goal. Yes, there is such a thing as community property, but there are also such things as money laundering, foreign bank accounts, and safe deposit boxes. Men will do anything, legal or illegal, to hide and keep money from ex-wives or ex-wives to be. Why all this fever, all this passion, all this hate over money? What is it about money that will make a man break laws and even threaten a woman with physical harm? In all humility, Smith and Doe quote themselves. Fact number 1, a successful, well-dressed man attracts women. Fact number 2, men are attracted to beautiful young women. In this equation is revealed the crux of the problem. What have Smith and Doe been telling you about men and sex? Men always want it. The younger and more beautiful the woman, the more they will do to get it. And the more money they have, the easier this is to accomplish. Lord Byron wrote, "Ready money is Aladdin's lamp. What does a man ask a genie for? Wish number 1, $1 billion. Wish number 2, the playmate of the year. Wish number 3, who fucking cares?" A man wants money to get girls. Clear and simple. With money, he can have the best, be they hookers, supermodels, cheerleaders, babysitters, or just plain gold diggers. Take them for a ride in a Ferrari, buy them dinner at the Four Seasons, take them to a wallbanger concert, bring them up to the penthouse, and name your tune. Without money, try getting a date with a borderline bull dyke bus driver. Good luck. Bupkiss, I don't know what that means. Masturbation City, Hustler Magazine, porn videos, Kleenex, and fantasies. Men look at a stack of money and see racks of breasts. $100 bills equal months of remaining in the blessed unloaded state. Make no mistake, there's not a man on this planet who would ask that genie for sex over money. And why is that? Because the man knows if he has the money, he'll get the sex. And not only sex, he'll get the trophy, the envy of other men. He'll be the king, the coxman, the man other men look up to and respect. No one ever walked into the Sky Bar with a roll of hundreds on his arm and got a second look from other men, but exchanged that roll of hundreds for one hot, tight, racked up, bunned out babe and watched those other males drool in envy. And that is what men are really about. As Smith and Doe have repeatedly stated, men only respect other men. If men continually attain the respect of other men, their lives are deemed worthwhile. Materialistically Machiavellian as it sounds, one sure way to prevent your man from straying or doing things you don't want him to do is to put your hands not only on his penis, but on his money as well. If you control, or more realistically, monitor his purse strings, he can't spend his money on outside, unsanctioned sexual pursuits without your knowledge. If you put the fear into him that he will be broke if he leaves you, he won't go out by himself for coffee, let alone cruise for hookers. If you let him know that you're having lunch with his accountant and taking notes, he'll think long and hard about that cute little babe at the office and just how costly she might be. Try not to let your man have access to money for which you cannot account. That's in capital bold print. We realize this is difficult if you are not married to him, but there are ways. Let me also say something else. Because I suspected, this is me talking, not reading from the book, okay? Because I suspected the little SOB was hiding money from me when we were in the process of ending things, I tried to hire a financial, I think it's called a financial forensic person. Anyway, and he didn't want to get involved. When it's in the middle of a divorce, they would rather not, because they know it's going to get uglier and uglier and uglier. I suspect he was hiding money from me. And of course, he was holding back money from me. But yeah, when you're dealing with a dishonest person and you're supposedly, quotation marks, married to them, they're not going to be honest about their money anyway, unless you handle the money, and they could still try to run game. I don't know. Money just does something to people. Whoever has the money has the power. Whoever has the money has the power. And they're just super sneaky. And they don't look at it, especially toxic males. They don't look at, I know we're breaking up or we're getting a divorce or whatever, and I should, at least for all the crap I put her through, the least I could do is split half in this. They don't look at it that way. They're like, yeah, I know I put you through hell, but this is my damn money. The law says different, but I'm bigger than the law. Be very careful who you get involved with. For the love of God, be careful who you get involved with. All right, back to the book. Real steps you can take to monitor your man's financial activities. Just as you did when he went away on business, you must remember and note everything he tells you about his finances. This accumulation of knowledge is critical, and you will use it for comparisons against the facts you will uncover in the following documents. Each of the following documents should be easy to access. Okay. If your man is hiding these crucial pieces of evidence, you must accidentally open his mail on occasion. If you have to do this more than once, simply destroy the documents after viewing. He'll get a duplicate next month. His checkbook. There's a wealth of knowledge to be had in a man's personal checkbook. Review the deposit column. When you see a deposit amount repeated at least 5 times, usually deposited on a biweekly basis, you have found his net after-tax paycheck amount. Double this amount and multiply it by 26 or 52 if it's deposited weekly, and you've got your man's gross base salary. If he is divorced, look for alimony and child support checks. If his payment for these items are substantial, he has had a high income for many years and probably a large net worth. This is an old book, as I told you guys before. Some people don't use checkbooks anymore. They more or less use debit credit cards. But keep in mind, this book is old. Warning, a man can have numerous checkbooks. Often he will keep only a few $1,000s in his local checking account and the bulk of his cash assets in asset management accounts at brokerage firms. Look for any other checkbooks in his personal area and review those as well with the name criteria as above. His tax files, old, returns, and new. Herein lies the past, the present, and once you've completed your projections, the future. Within these returns lies his total income from all sources, that is, the income he's declaring. What you see before you is a clear picture of his income streams. This does not help you to identify all his assets. However, his donations. Men are cheap bastards. No one has to tell me that twice. Let's repeat that, okay? For anybody who didn't hear, for anybody in the back of the room. Men are cheap bastards. A man will typically donate no more than 2% of his total annual income to charity, and even then it's only for the write-off unless the president of the charity is a hot babe. If your man donates major money, he's got major money. Now you've got to find it and get control of it. Check his credit report. Write to the major credit companies, Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion, under the guise of being your man. Unfortunately, this report must be mailed to his address, so if you do not live with him, you must intercept his mail, which should not be too difficult. Include in your letter his name, address, social security number, and date of birth, and note that you are requesting your free annual credit report. Once you get your hands on it, look through it. You will find his credit limits noted on the right right-hand side of the page and the current balances on the left. If the balances are close to the limits, he is heavily in debt and is over-leveraged. Beware. If his limits are high, but his balance is low or non-existent, he is in good shape. Review the report for any major notations, including large credit items such as mortgages on homes you are not aware existed, legal judgments from plastic surgeons regarding a boob job you never had, a paternity suit, etc. If there are problems, beware, because a man who can't change his financial life usually has trouble managing the rest of his life. I'm going to take a peek through here. This is a long chapter. I don't know if we'll be able to finish it right now, but we'll do the best we can. Okay, home equity. Check his monthly mortgage statement and note the total amount of the loan. Compare the balance due on the loan to the approximate value of his home. This number is the equity in his home and is one of the largest components of your man's net worth. If the amount of the mortgage is almost the same as the value of his home, your man is walking on thin ice and you don't have to worry about monitoring his money because he doesn't have any. Okay. Corporate records. Does your man own any corporations? Often men will filter income through corporations to write certain things off their taxes that can't be otherwise written off. Within these records, you will find other streams of income as well as hidden costs. And if you're looking for financial evidence of transgressions, this is a likely place to find it. If you and your man ever split up, his corporation is where you will find money that he is hiding from you. Credit card statements, both personal and corporate. More than any other document, these statements are an absolute trail of his secret life. Note each and every change for subsequent interrogation. Other important items to keep an eye out for. This is in capital letters and bold print. Any document that finds its way into your home with a return address in the Cayman Islands, the Bahamas, or Switzerland should be immediately snatched, opened, and destroyed after viewing. Once you've reviewed these documents, have you found any discrepancies between what you found and what you've been told? If so, it's time to do serious research, because once you've caught him in a lie of this nature, everything is suspect. The bottom line. Let him know you are interested in every dollar he has and where he keeps it. If he loves you, he'll have no reason to hide this information. If he doesn't, he'll try to placate you with minor details. Do not accept his initial accounting. Press him further. Talk to his friends. Call his accountant. Contact his parents. Insist he tell you exactly how much money he makes. Compare what he tells you to the information you've gleaned from his private files. When he's in a great mood, ask him how much money he just made, because that's the only reason men get in great moods, unless they've been unloaded. For those who don't know, unloading means he has emptied his walnuts in somebody, and he's in a good mood, and, he's got a bounce in his step and a smile on his face. Anyway, never forget, money is the key to his freedom. Money is the one thing that allows him to do whatever he wants whenever he wants. Boy, don't I know it. If he wants to cheat, he knows the only thing he will have left when you find out and take retribution is money. But that's okay with him, because that's all he needs. With his money, he imagines he will be able to find someone to replace you, someone even better than you. Without his money, he will be lost. He will have no one to keep him company and no one to provide him with sex, not even the most lowly, flea-bitten hooker, aimlessly wandering the streets of the ghetto. Therefore, capital letters, bold print, you must make sure he knows you have a substantial interest, understanding, and control of his money. One final note. There are men who will love you for your money. Men who love women's money can be even more dangerous than men who love their own money. Men who expect women to support them should be immediately jettisoned for the following reasons. Men who have no money and no ambition, and men who have no ambition are losers. We know that, right? They feel they can coast through life, just making it by with no need to advance any further, thanks to your financial support. These men are immature. Immature men cannot control themselves. Smith and Doe assure you that an immature man is a man who has no principles and will violate your trust in every way he can. Men who allow women to support them should be shot. Any man who can accept a woman's support without batting an eyelash is a man who feels he's owed something, that you owe him for the pleasure of his company. Anytime you annoy him, even in the slightest way, he will remind himself how lucky you are to have him, and he will cheat for good measure. Men who are gold diggers are men who expect nothing of themselves in life. There are many men who actively seek women of means because they consciously or subconsciously realize that they will never make anything of themselves. They expect to lose, and without your help and bankroll, they will lose. If you see any indicators that a man is a gold digger and expects you to support him, did he seem a little too ecstatic when you got that promotion? Did you celebrate and pick up the tab yourself? It's time to run for the hills. The bottom line, if you are in a situation where you are providing the bulk of the money in the relationship, bold print, capital letters, stop. You are bankrolling an unwinnable war. He will stay with you as long as he needs to, building a wall of resentment and the amount. I'm sorry. Let's try that again. I'm trying to get hooked on phonics. Building a wall of resentment, and the moment he gets enough money of his own or stockpiles enough of yours, he will be gone. If you have money and your man has money, you are a match made in heaven. There are wealthy men who, whether or not they intentionally seek it, and are more comfortable with a woman with money for two basic reasons. First, they know the woman is not a gold digger. Second, they know they can be what all men love to be, a protector, a champion. If he is a wise investor, which most wealthy men are, he gets to take his sweet lover's money and in front of her very eyes parlay it, along with his own money, into a fortune, thus not only enhancing their financial lives, but reinforcing his manliness at the same time. Everyone wins. How to look like you don't care if your man is rich or poor. Money is important to you, and if your man doesn't have it now, you're betting he will get it sometime in the future. Placing this bet is called cohabitation or marriage. Men are increasingly wary of this type of odds making, and their eyes are peeled. If you are thinking of dating a man who is not yet wealthy, a crucial element to seek is ambition. And if he doesn't have it, he failed to test that you need him to pass. He could be driving a third-hand Yugo today, but if he is smart and his dream is to run IBM, you can at least harbor hope he will someday achieve this goal. If you already have a wealthy man, Smith and Doe strongly advise that you make him feel you could care less whether or not he has money. Let him know you will stick by him through thick and thin, in sickness and in health, and even if you don't mean it, through times of poverty. The following rules apply first and foremost to women who are dating or married to men with money, but should be followed regardless of your man's financial situation. Never tell him money is important to you. If you've already spilled the beans, Smith and Doe are too late, the damage is done. If you haven't, for God's sakes, don't. If he feels that he must have money in order to keep you happy, he will think that your love is conditional, and that will have endless repercussions. In addition to creating a weak link in his emotional chain, he may contract the dreaded SDPLS and become psychologically loaded. Feel free to tell him that money is nice only because it lets the two of us do things we like to do, but remind him that you are with him because you want to be with him, with or without money, even if this is a steaming, bold-faced lie. I'm looking to see. Okay. All right. Maybe we can get through this. All right. Always offer to pay or go Dutch, even if you have absolutely no intention of doing so. There is nothing men of wealth appreciate more than a woman who does not act entitled to their money. With each offer you make to pick up checks, pay for movies, etc., you only strengthen his conviction to pay for everything forever. Men love to feel like the provider of what makes you happy, and thus you must make him feel that you appreciate it but don't expect it. Even if your man consistently refuses to let you pay for things, occasionally pretend to go to the ladies' room and pay the bill behind his back. Or buy tickets to the movie and charge them to your card. Trust us, this is a wise investment which will provide substantial, consistent returns for the rest of your life. Unless, of course, and I'm going to interject with that, unless he's a narcissist, there's nothing you can do that's going to make a difference. He's a selfish bastard. About once every 6 months, buy him a present. By surprising your man with a first-class present, you will make him feel he must reciprocate, and often. Besides seeking to surprise you with gifts, he will compensate by making sure he pays for everything forever. Let me interject again. Unless he's a narcissist. Never charge something significant to your man without consulting him first. It is imperative to men that they feel they are the giver, and just by saying okay, they will feel as though they have participated. Charge it after discussing it with him, and you are a beloved mate who just received a gift. Do it before discussing it with him, and you are a presumptuous gold-digging bitch. You can never be too generous. Remember, every dollar you spend on your man is a dollar invested wisely in a long-term annuity. Don't feel like you never see your money again, because you will, and in spades. Never claim that money he gave you is your money. There is nothing that irks men more than women who will argue that something they bought was bought with their money, when in fact the money undeniably came from him. Although not one of the worst transgressions, this claim will make your man feel used, and he'll think you're living in a fantasy world, trying to make yourself feel worthwhile. If you've got a problem with self-worth, go see a shrink, but don't claim his money is yours and you earned it, because the only reaction you're likely to get is a good laugh in your face. Don't act impressed. Even if you can barely contain yourself, don't show him that something he bought, owns, leases, rents, impresses you. Although it may stroke his ego in the short term, you become like any other woman he picks up at the local watering hole. By acting unimpressed, you are showing him that you don't give a hoot about his money. It doesn't make the slightest bit of difference to you. There is nothing more repulsive to a man who is seeking wife material than to pick up his day and hear her crow awe-inspired about how incredibly cool his car is and how he must be really rich to afford that. An ancillary benefit of this indifference is that by acting like you are used to money, even if you aren't, your man will feel like you are used to money. Ask about his business and how he's gotten where he is today. Successful men love to be questioned about how they've attained such status in life, and women who seem genuinely interested in a man's business are much closer to winning that man than those who aren't. Besides loving to act like a business guru to someone who knows little or nothing, he will heartily embellish, glorify, and enhance the stories of his exploits. When in the initial 2 years of a relationship, never directly ask for money. Always couch your request in an indirect statement. For example, if you need to pay off a credit card bill, talk about how high the bill is and how unhappy you are about it, as though you are talking to a girlfriend. Magically, the bill will be paid, but only after you adamantly refuse his help. If you need cash on the spot, chastise yourself for forgetting to go to the cash machine. There is simply no way a man can hand over cold hard cash when asked for it and feel good about it. Once you've got his money, never let him see you waste it. If he feels as though you are responsible with both your money and his, the purse strings will slowly loosen. If he thinks you are a financial moron who, if given the chance, would quickly bankrupt him, you will never access his money freely. Once you've achieved a certain level of trust, you're home free. And as long as you keep any small financial transgressions to yourself, $400 manicures, etc., you will remain in the driver's seat. Women who genuinely do not care about spending men's money can unknowingly offend men the most. For example, a woman who simply wants to have a festive, romantic time might ask her boyfriend to go to Paris for the weekend. While in her mind she's being fun and spontaneous by proposing a romantic weekend for two, in his mind she is being inconsiderate, moronic, and rude. And that's all we're going to do for now. The next chapter is, I guess, like a summary of a lot of things. And we'll get to that next time. But your man and money, if they're toxic, none of this is going to happen for you. Okay. Again, my ex-monster was super generous for 2 years. And then after that, everything became a problem. Bills are a problem. I remember one time I said, I need money for the electric, for example. And he said, well, we just paid that. And I was in the middle of the store and I yelled at the top of my voice, yeah, last month. In other words, you're a freaking idiot if you don't know that we pay bills every month. I do suspect that he's accustomed to women paying their money so that he doesn't have to spend his. Because some women are so eager for that man that they will pay for everything. They don't care. Even if they can't afford it, they'll pay it. I'm gonna get graphic for a minute. He is endowed. And women will do anything to keep getting that. I personally didn't give a shit. That's why I divorced his ass. But some women will be so excited about the magic stick that they will pay anything, do anything, massage his crusty ass feet. They'll do anything in the world for a guy when they want to get, stuffed. They want their turkey stuffed. Like I said, I don't really give a shit about that. Because if I'm not connected to you, mentally, I don't care if it hangs all the way to your ankle. Get the hell out of here. And I think that's another thing that probably surprised him about me. The last 10 years of our marriage, I was not interested in him anymore. We were celibate for 10 years before I finally filed for divorce because I was so completely turned off by his lack of protection for me. He did not protect me. He did not look out for me. Everything I went through, I was a married single person. So no, I don't feel sexy towards you whatsoever. You will stay loaded. Go to your horse. I didn't know he was cheating. He acted like he was the most faithful person in the whole world. Nothing could be further from the truth. I don't care about your goddamn money. I have been around celebrities. You don't have more money than them, so sit down. Um, I don't care about, you know, I don't care about material things because, don't get me wrong, they're nice. But it don't mean a hill of beans if you're crazy. If you like to beat women, if you like to drop something in their drink so they're out of their minds so you could take advantage of them, your money can't save me. And after dealing with crazy people my entire life, starting off with the parents and crazy ass unstable men in relationships, so-called relationships, my biggest priority is not superficial stupidness. My biggest priority is, are you mentally stable and do you genuinely like me, or are you wanting to use me? We're not done. We know what you want first and foremost. We ain't stupid. That takes a bigger priority. Are you mentally stable? Do you have the ability to care for me? Do you have the ability to protect me? Or are you just trying to stand there with a stupid grin on your face with your wang in your hand? I'm not impressed with that shit. Everybody has one of those. What else you got? And I don't give a shit about your money because that's your money. That doesn't have anything to do with me. And some people have the most money and are the most selfish. So your money, you could take that and go shove it somewhere. Yes, it makes life more comfortable, but I really don't give a shit because that doesn't stop you from taking my life one day. Your wallet isn't going to stand between me and a weapon. Your wallet's not going to say, "Hey," and knock you to the ground so you can't hurt me. I mean, come on. So having a history of dealing with crazy ass people, I need to know that you're uncrazy. I don't give two shits about your money, and I'm going to tell you something right here, right now. We're being transparent. I don't give a shit about your bragging and how much money you make because chances are you're lying anyway. What kind of car you have, I don't give a damn because none of that stops you from tying me up in your basement and torturing me for weeks on end until you decide to take my life. And if you think that doesn't happen, you better look at the news. Okay. I saw part of a documentary where a black guy, was killing prostitutes. He tied them up in the pillars in his basement. And the one girl, she was the first person, and the cops got to see this video because he videotaped it. He was parading around her dead body. Of course, they showed it discreetly. And he said, "Okay, so this is my first kill." And he kept talking, and I didn't hear nothing else after that. So you're telling me if he lived in a mansion, she'd be less dead? That's where my mind goes, because I'm weird that way. I need to know that I'm safe with you. I don't give two shits about your money. I don't give two shits about your... Look, please, give me a break. That doesn't have nothing to do with who you are as a person. So, that's just me. I'm weird that way. Love you guys. Talk to you later. Bye.